A new #1 at Millwall, Stoke go again. Strikers in at Hull and West Brom. Sheffield Wednesday sign another two, and there is much more in this latest Championship transfer update. Let's start with some goalkeepers today. Thomas Kaminski out of Blackburn to Luton. We'll talk about the other end of what that looks like in the Premier League transfer update next week. Ainsley Pears did end the season in goal for Blackburn last time out though. In at Millwall is Maja Sarkic, who has bounced around the Championship on a few loans over the past few years. Most recently, in fact, at Stoke last season. I like it, makes sense, 26, long-term deal. We think over £1 million paid. Sounds like he's coming in to be the #1 for a while if this one goes well. Finally, for the keepers, Nathan Bishop in for Sunderland from Manchester United. He's not displacing Patterson, I wouldn't think, but it's another young player to work with in that goalkeeping roster and Sunderland squad as a whole. Two more in at Sheffield Wednesday, who were playing catch-up after that unforeseen managerial change. Bambo Diaby, we know he was at Preston last season, that after those issues and the big ban at Barnsley. They've paid a fee, so I don't think this is just a bulk out the squad type deal, and at his best he can be a powerful influence at centre back. We said for a while Wednesday need youth and pace, so here comes Anthony Musaba, a 22-year-old wide man from Monaco no less. He's had lots of loans around Europe actually, but lands at Hillsborough on a permanent to try and solve those issues a fair few people have raised. Stoke are at it again. That is 11 in now at the Bet365. Literally the amount of players in a football team. I like this one. Luke McNally in on loan from Burnley. He was properly tested and came through at Championship level on loan at Coventry last season. Went all the way with the Sky Blues to the playoff final on the right-hand side of a 3 centre-back system. Stoke having a lovely old time in the window, aren't they? I've been excited about them before, so I will stay calm and say, at the very least, this looks promising. Again. Right, a couple of strikers for you now, familiar faces too. Here is Josh Maja into West Brom. He's played in the Championship previously with Sunderland and Stoke. Arrives on a permanent from Bordeaux. He is still only 24, that bodes well, but the goals return at second tier level isn't great, so he's probably in the potentially good bracket rather than any kind of dead cert, given Albion's off-field issues. Does seem a sensible enough deal. Aaron Connolly returns to Hull up top. He was on loan there from Brighton last season. This is permanent now. Forgive me if I'm being a bit unfair, but there does seem to be a bit more in the way of hype than substance from what I've seen. But I'm sure Liam Rossinier, especially with those Brighton contacts he's got, knows what he's doing. I would say though, time for Connolly now to step up, score some goals and establish himself. Speaking of substance, Josh Bowler had plenty of that when he was playing for Blackpool a couple of seasons back in the Championship. I would say among the better wide men in the division at that point. Dare I say last season he got a little bit lost in that crazy Forest transfer window in summer. Ended up getting loaned back to Blackpool, and to be fair, they were in a mess, but he didn't impress. Bowler, obviously on loan now, given Cardiff's transfer restriction with the EFL, and it's fairly simple. If he's near 21-22 level, then that is a great signing for the Bluebirds. But will he be? We're all watching with interest Josh Bowler to Cardiff. Georgie Chakvetadze to Watford is finally done. We've mentioned this one and known about it for the past week or two, but it took Watford an age to announce. 23 years old, Georgian midfielder who seems to play off the left, but is a right footer. He was at Ghent, loaned out the last couple of seasons. New one for me, although I'm sure he's been properly earmarked for some big Val ball this season. Far more familiar to me though, and to the club he's going to, is Finn Azaz, who goes back to Plymouth on loan from Aston Villa, repeating the exact same move he made last year. He was one of that rotating cast of attackers for Argyle, particularly through the first 2/3 of the season. I like him a lot, and the challenge for him is the same for the majority of people at Argyle. Can he do it up a level? Back to centre-back now. Harrison Ashby has joined Swansea on loan from Newcastle. I remember Freddie Woodman treading exactly that path. Mike Duff loves himself a 3 at the back, so there should be chances. And with those elevated expectations now up at Newcastle, maybe Swansea could get the good end of this long term and get him permanently if it all goes well. Preston have taken Jack Whatmough from Wigan. Can I call him a contract rebel? No, that's completely unfair, isn't it? He was one of the 2 players at Wigan to voluntarily terminate their contract after the previous ownership breached it lots of times. Centre-back, 26, and that probably links back to that deal we talked about earlier with Diaby going out to Sheffield Wednesday. Finally, Andre Green into Rotherham. Green was at Villa during their championship run, but via a few championship and League One clubs, he ended up at Slovan Bratislava. The Millers are giving him another chance to have a crack at championship football. Has the air of a little bit of a gamble. Will Andre Green pay Rotherham back for taking said gamble? There we go. That hopefully takes us up to the opening weekend in terms of transfers. Famous last words. Let me know in the comments what you think of any or all of those latest batch of deals. Maybe things slow down a little now before we build back up as the window closes early next month. But it's time to concentrate on the football now. Click here for your last chance to react to my picks and to submit your own 1 to 24 predictions for the Championship and indeed League One. Hurry, you can still get there before a ball is kicked.